Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. So today I get to talk to you about something very exciting that I recently experienced. I took my husband, or dragged, whatever you want to call it, dragged him to Axpona in Chicago, Axpona 2024. It was an amazing expo. It was a lot of fun. I got to meet some really cool people. I got to listen to some amazing stereo equipment. I got to do a little bit of record shopping. And it was just an overall overwhelming but very cool experience. And I came away with something really cool that I didn't expect at the end. And I want to share it with you, kind of what this whole Axpona experience taught me about my own stereo equipment and about stereo equipment in general. I'm going to talk to you about the highlights, some of the negatives. I will tell you, if I was to do it in my own way, what I would do differently, and you'll get a chuckle out of that because I've never even been there before. I believe the pros know what they're doing, but I do have a few criticisms. Let's go ahead and start talking first about the people that I got to meet. It was such an honor. I got to meet Mike and Angel from the In-Groove in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been watching his channel, their live streams that they do. It was an absolute pleasure to meet both of them. We had a great conversation, and I felt like I already knew them already. I was just so impressed. And even my husband, who doesn't say a lot, even when we walked away, he said, "Now that's a good dude. That's a good dude. Mike's a great guy. He's everything you think, he comes across on YouTube." That's how he was. And Angel was so sweet and gracious. We were sitting there, we're talking in the weeds about records and just different things like that. And, she just listens in, and, she's even prettier in person, which isn't really fair. But we really got to enjoy talking to them, and that really meant a lot to me, to get to see another YouTuber that I admire and I'm a fan of, and to get to actually talk to them and realize they're just as nice in person as they seem to be on YouTube, and that was an absolute wonderful treat. I also got to meet, and I'm looking off notes because I don't want to miss anything. I want to make sure I say everything I want to say. I got to meet Nick from Toad Hall Books and Records. And he's a really sweet guy too. He's really tall, and he was just so nice to me. And I've been enjoying his channel for a long time too. I always enjoyed his Mo-Fi Minute videos he would do. And I think him and Mike from the In-Groove are probably going to do some really special live streams for Record Store Day coming up this coming weekend. And I really look forward to that. And it was great to meet Nick from Toad Hall Books and Records and got a picture with him. Also, I got to meet Chad Kassem from Analog Productions, Acoustic Sounds, QRP. He was so nice. He recognized me. He recognized my husband and told him, he said, good for you for being so kind and patient with me, the vinyl addict. He thought my husband was really cool, and I really liked meeting him. He's so enthusiastic. He worked his own record booth, so if you were there, you got the privilege of buying one of Chad's records from Chad himself, and I enjoyed seeing him throughout the convention. Also, I got to meet, and it's a little bit of a funny story, Steve Guttenberg. And I was walking around, just going into the rooms, listening, and I saw him outside of a hall talking to somebody. And of course, I look, and then I have to do a double take, and I've got crazy in my eyes, and he happens to see me looking at him. He doesn't know who I am, and so he probably feared for his life for a minute. I kind of waited until that person and him were done with their conversation, and then I just came up to him, and I said, "I'm such a fan of your channel. You do fantastic reviews. Can I please have my picture taken with you?" And he was gracious. I might get a restraining order, I don't know. But he was very kind to me. He said, "Good luck with your channel." He doesn't know who I am. He's never seen me before. But he was very sweet, and I got a cool picture with someone I greatly admire. I also got to meet Andrew Jones, and he is a speaker developer. He's been for Pioneer, TAD, ELAC, and now Mo-Fi. And he was just really, really sweet. Of course, I own the multi-source point 10s. I have had a conversation with him before, but it was great to meet him in person. He's kind, he's gracious, and I will talk about his speakers here in a little bit because I do want to share a little bit about those with you. And Sky Labs Audio. Those guys were so nice, and they came up and they said, we really like your channel, and would you mind? They asked me a question about what I listened to when I was young, and I totally blanked out. I had a 1967 Motorola console, and I forgot the name Motorola. If you stick a camera and a microphone in front of my face, I'm gonna blank out. That's just who I am. I get really shy. But they were very sweet, and they were nice about my channel, and I had seen them on YouTube, but I didn't really know them well. But they were real gracious, and then when I looked them up, they're a huge channel. So I should have known exactly who they were. And anyway, here's really truly the highlight of the whole thing for me. If I had to say one thing, and I thankfully don't have to say one thing because there was so much that was so amazing about it. But when I was there were viewers from my channel that came up to me and said, "Hi, I see you on YouTube. I enjoy your videos." And I had no idea that anything like that would happen. I thought maybe a person, when I was in the records, looking at records, might say, I've seen you before, you look familiar, whatever. But it was throughout the convention, and I got to meet some really sweet people, and they were really kind. It's such an encouragement. And then I always asked, well, what's your name? Because I talk to people a lot. And sure enough, there were a couple people, I knew their names because I talked to them. They leave their comments, and it's, I'm talking to you, Scott. It was really cool that someone that comments on my channel often actually came up and said hello. And to be able to actually meet some of my viewers was something I didn't expect I was going to get to do. And I was so honored. That was a definite highlight for me. So also, I got to listen to so many different speakers, stereo equipment setup. I got to listen to something that was $4 million, all the way down to $1,000 introduction Magnepan electrostatic speakers. And that was a highlight for me. I really wanted to listen to electrostatic speakers because a lot of people that I greatly admire and respect their judgment, they talk about those electrostatic speakers very highly. So I wanted to hear them. And that was an introductory version. And even though I thought they sounded good, I don't think it'd be fair for me to comment for just that one listening experience because it was in a very small room. And I really think I have listened to SVS Prime Tower speakers in the past. They're $1,000 speakers, and I had them in my home for many years. So that's the only kind of price comparison I could have done. And just to listen for 3 to 5 minutes in one room to make a judgment call on those probably wouldn't have been fair. I think the electric static, the Magnepans, they probably need to be in bigger room. And I listened to an upgraded version of Magnepans too, and I still say I'm going to hold my judgment on those type of speakers until I can listen to them in a bigger room for a longer period of time. But it was a very cool experience to finally get to listen to electrostatic speakers. I also got to listen to, I believe the brand is pronounced Focal. It's Focal. Went in for an amazing experience. They had these beautiful speakers. They're very lavish looking and unique. And oh my goodness, they played a series of 3 or 4 different songs. They snippets of them, but they were pretty long so you could really get into it, and showing all of the range and the depth. And I was very impressed. I did think those Focal speakers sounded amazing, and they should have. They were $280,000 a pair. That's the only time I'm ever going to be able to listen to speakers that expensive is to go to Axpona. But it was a really cool experience. I expect them to sound amazing. Quite frankly, they should have blown my socks off. And they were very good. They didn't disappoint me. In fact, I even had a goosebump moment with a song. There was a female vocal singing Wicked Game, the Chris Isaak song. I did get goosebumps during that. And so that's kind of a big deal. If you're listening and you're in a listening experience room and you get goosebumps, that's a good sign, in my opinion. So, I also got to see some crazy looking turntables. And it's funny because some of them are so beautiful and so cool and they have such great finishes. And some of them honestly look a little overdone to me, like they're trying too hard to look cool. And that the sophistication of them, being so complicated looking, do they make them sound better? I don't know. But it was cool to see all of the different things. I mean, you can really, if you have a deep enough wallet, you can get some extremely artistic looking stereo equipment that's going to sound great. And I got to see all of that on full display. So I got to listen to a lot of different things. And some of it was just, $60,000, $70,000 speakers. And they were very nice and they sounded very good. But for the price, I cannot tell you they blew me away at all. And there was one pair of speakers that my husband and I listened to, and they were $17,000 a pair. And we both left, and it's like, my MoFi Source Point 10 sound a million times better than what I was hearing in that room. They weren't impressive. And right as we were saying that, I kid you not, someone else walked out of the room and said, "Those are the bomb. They sound absolutely incredible." So that's another takeaway from Axpona. There's something for everyone. And just because I didn't like it or it didn't hit my ears, or even my husband and I, we agreed, someone else left there totally jaw on the floor, totally impressed and in love with what they heard. I think that's awesome. I don't agree, but it doesn't matter. That's not my experience. I get to take away my experience, and he got to take away his. And I thought that was very interesting, that we can be in the same room, same setup, same listening, same song, and come away with two totally different reactions. That's really cool. A little interesting, a little bit of a head scratcher, cool all the same, So to be honest with you, when it comes to those really expensive rooms, like the $4 million room, honestly, it just looked too complicated for me and it didn't blow me away. It's cool. And yeah, it sounded really good, but it wasn't mind. For $4 million, I expect to be blown out of the water and never have heard anything like that. I was a little nervous about going into those expensive rooms because I was afraid that it would spoil me and that I wouldn't want to listen to my lesser expensive stereo equipment. My equipment is nice, but it's not $280,000 speakers. But I decided, no, that's what I'm here for. I should at least experience that. So I did go in those expensive rooms in the end, and some of them left me wanting more, and others, kind of helped my opinion that I'm going to share in just a little bit. So here are the ones that really did stand out to me, though. And they're pretty middle of the road. Some of them are more affordable than others. All of them, to some degree, are affordable. That might mean you have to save up for a long time or sell some of your expensive records to help cover the costs, buy used, or maybe you just happen to have the money from something that, came your way. Here are what I considered the most impressive rooms. First, there was a Martin Logan room, and it was a Dolby surround sound room, and I thought it sounded great. It was streaming, but it was a really good high quality streaming, and it sounded absolutely wonderful. They played Elton John's Rocket Man, and it was great. The speakers were beautiful, and it sounded amazing, and I was impressed with that. I also was impressed with the JBL room, and every single piece of equipment in that room was JBL brand, and they all line up, they all look, I love the retro look of the speakers. They've been around a long time, and they haven't changed. They're a classic. JBL sounded fantastic. I was very impressed with JBL, and I don't know that I've ever heard a room with nothing but JBL product in it, so I thought that was really cool. Also, I got to listen to a room with Macintosh. That was cool. The equipment, it's a good mix of beauty, style, and great sound. And I was very impressed with the Macintosh room. I really liked it. I was really drooling over these Macintosh tube amps. I really, that's kind of on my wish list. I don't know that I'll be able to ever have them, but I was really impressed, and they're beautiful, and everything sounded really great in that room. Now, the Macintosh room, of course, the speakers were a different brand, and I honestly don't remember what those were, but everything else in that room was Macintosh, and it just looked fantastic. There was also another room of a brand I had never heard of before called Zesto Audio, and it is a husband and wife team, George and Carolyn, and they have some high-end equipment. They are all tube, all analog equipment. I went in their room and I was immediately taken back by the beauty of the equipment. Carolyn, the wife, designed it, and their equipment has a unique look. It's inspired by a baby grand piano, and the way it's designed is really cool because it's instantly recognizable. They don't even have to have their brand name on there if they don't want to, because it has a shape of a baby grand piano. The equipment was beautiful. It sounded great. They were actually playing vinyl records in that room, which was awesome. And I got to hear songs from the album Gaucho by Steely Dan. They sounded really good, and they do have some high-end equipment, but Zesto Audio is also going to be putting out some other more affordable equipment as well. And I think that is a company that I'm going to keep my eyes open for. They really impressed me. And George and Carolyn were very sweet and elegant. And it was just an interesting thing. After, I think it was the Friday night, that at that hotel where the Axpona was, we all were in a restaurant, and it was all so crowded that we were crammed into a bar area to eat, and they happened to be sitting right beside us, and we didn't know them, they didn't know us. They struck up a conversation with us and asked us who we were and why we were there. They didn't immediately tell us that they had stereo equipment that they are there, promoting and showing. They were just a lovely couple. So I'm looking forward to seeing more from Zesto Audio in the future. And also, I have to say, I was impressed with the new speakers, Mobile Fidelity Source Point 888s by Andrew Jones. They're $5,000 speakers, and I had already been in some rooms where $20,000, $40,000, $60,000, $78,000 speakers. I had been to all these rooms. I go back and I listen into Andrew Jones' room, and it was unbelievable how great they sounded. He's a pro. He knows how to set up a room, and he had great quality streaming in there. He played fantastic songs that really show the range of what his speakers could do, and I was also impressed with those. So those, for me, all those brands of Macintosh, JBL, MoFi, just all of those I've already named, I was so impressed with. And here are some of the things that I would want to change if I could when it comes to Axpona. Not much. It's all very well done, don't get me wrong. And my little criticisms are going to go ignored because these guys know what they're doing. This is just my observations, and I don't think they really care. But I want to just mention the things that I wish that I had seen more of, less of, etc. I wish more people were playing vinyl records, and a lot of them were doing the streaming thing, and that's great too, because there is a time and place for streaming in our lives. There are just areas in our lives where you can't take a turntable with you, outside when you're wanting to listen to music, or in the car, or sometimes just a room where you just don't have the stereo equipment. Streaming's good, but I would have liked to heard more. I'm old-fashioned. I would have liked to had more of the rooms playing turntables. And I don't mind hearing songs I've never heard before, but I also think it's important that if you do that, I would have liked to have heard more songs that I know by heart. I did bring a record with me. I brought the MoFi Alan Parsons Project Eye in the Sky, and anytime someone said, is there something you want to hear, and they had a turntable in the room, I pulled that record out and they played it. And it was glorious. It sounded great. And I wish I could have had more vinyl, more songs I knew, so that I could hear something I know by heart and hear something I've never heard before, hear it in a different way. That would have been cool. And I didn't get a lot of that. But again, it's the stereo equipment, they're the experts, not me. That's just what I would have liked to have heard. That's not probably the right way to go. That's just my opinion. I also think that people should not be allowed to eat in the listening rooms. My husband and I were in this room with this gorgeous stereo equipment, high end, and a guy literally rips open a bag of chips and starts eating them. Chomp, chomp, chomp. While we're sitting there trying to listen. It was so rude. It was so disrespectful to the people running that room and the owners of the company and the people that represent the brand, because everybody around had to listen to him chomping on chips. I just don't think that should have been allowed. And also, I will say that sometimes when I'm in a listening room, the people in the back who aren't listening, and that might be some of the representatives of the brands along with customers, maybe people that are just there that they know, they start talking, they get really loud, and it really disrupts from the listening experience. It's really, you're trying to listen to something and you hear people all blah, 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 blah in the back. That's not good, So that was another takeaway. Let me show you the few records I bought because they had a great record fair in one of the areas. I didn't buy very much. I'll let you know why I haven't been buying as many records lately. In an upcoming video, when the time is right and I can do it, there's something going on in my life that I will share with you. But let me show you what I did. And full disclosure, I don't ever do this, and I'm kind of mad at myself, but it just, life has been what it is. I have not got to listen to these records yet. So what I'm going to do is show you what I bought. And then in a future video, if these records really truly stand out as high quality, sound quality is wonderful, I think is a great value. I like making videos from time to time of albums that I think are affordable, sound amazing, worth every penny I paid. So these might come up in a future video after I've given them a listen. This is Sing and Dance with Frank Sinatra. This is an Impex record. This is what I've been wanting, and I'll be honest with you, after I bought it, I remembered that it's going to be a one-step, one of those Impex one-steps. I just got that Gets Galberto one, and it's absolutely beautiful. So maybe if I had remembered that, I wouldn't have bought this. But then again, this was $35 straight up cash, and that's probably going to be good enough for me on that one. I also found this, and a lot of you are going to snicker, but I don't care. It brings back wonderful memories for me. Neil Diamond, the jazz singer. I have a really special attachment to this. Neil Diamond reminds me of my mom. And I'd never had the MoFi version of it. It was extremely affordable, and the vinyl was super clean, so I picked it up. And I also picked up, I don't know anything about this, so I'm curious to play it. It's Black Sabbath Greatest Hits. This one is an original UK 1977, graded Excellent Plus, still in the shrink. It does have a lot of the great Black Sabbath records, and it is on the NEMS label. I'll pull the record out so you can see that. I need to give it a good cleaning and play it. Life's been crazy lately, so I haven't been able to play it yet, but it was in very good condition, so I thought, why not? Here's my biggest takeaway that I did not expect when it came to Axpona. I did expect to be blown away by the stereo equipment, the higher end stuff. I was afraid would spoil me, and yeah, it was great. It was a fun listening experience. But in the end, after listening to everything, it honestly just gave me a bigger appreciation for what I already have. Because I think my stereo equipment sounds pretty amazing. And yeah, if you have, for some people, $280,000 is the equivalent if I paid $2.80 for something, and I get that. I will never pay $280,000 for speakers. I don't believe, because I don't think I'm ever going to be wealthy enough. I don't ever even know if I have the desire to do that. It just really gave me an appreciation for what I have. My stereo equipment sounds pretty good, and it holds up with a lot of what I saw. Having said that, I loved meeting the people. I loved seeing all the sites and digging through records. That was a lot of fun. The viewers, getting to meet the viewers, that meant the world to me. And getting to experience all this wonderful stereo equipment. There's so many excellent choices out there, you guys. And we do not have to agree on what brands are the best, what we love, what's flashy and beautiful, what's basic. It doesn't matter. There's something for every price point, and a lot of it sounds very, very good. So that's my take on Axpona. And let me know in the comments if you were there, if you've been there before. What's your favorite brands and stereo equipment? What should I listen for next year if I'm blessed enough to get to go? And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.